they did a piece about, okay, so you want to run a restaurant. Well, now you could do a 5-minute piece saying, here are the pluses, here are the minuses, here's what's likely to happen to you. And these are some of the mistakes you're not going to be able to avoid. No, they said, look, we're going to follow a couple who decided they wanted to have a restaurant. So you're going to hear their dreams, their early enthusiasm, and they did like maybe 5 segments. They would run for 7, 8 minutes on all things considered. By the time you were done with that, you felt you had gone through their experience, their highs and their lows. You understood why they ultimately failed at it the way so many people would. And I experienced this too when I was hosting a radio show called The World, which was international news for the American audience. We would have political figures come into the studio for live interviews. And, there might be very powerful individuals. I remember the head of NATO came in at one point and I interviewed him. And what would happen is you'd have half an hour with them maybe. First 15 minutes, they're going to tell you exactly what they want to tell you in the way they plan to tell it. So it's like dead on arrival. It's information without a human envelope around it. And then we'd stop recording. And they might have another 15 minutes before they had to go off to the next interview. And that's when we'd start to schmooze. And I would ask them things like, so what is it really like to be the head of what personally, what do you have to deal with? What do you miss? I remember his name was Javier Solana at that point. I don't know if you remember the name, but at that point we were in war with Serbia or whatnot. And, all that stuff was going on in the Balkans. And he said he had absolutely no idea what was going to happen next. He said any intelligent person on the street would be just as qualified as I am for doing this. Now, that could not be part of his public statement, but I love that. It's like if you had been able to do a piece that would illustrate what it's really like to be the head of NATO. And you know what else he told me? I said, what did you do before you were the head of NATO? He said, I was a nuclear physicist. He said, you were? He said, isn't that all about uncertainty and the uncertainty principle? I said, yeah. He said, I miss it. You can honestly live with uncertainty.